let's talk to Michael. Michael from Facebook Audience Network. Michael is basically going to talk to us about the future of app monetization. So this is an industry outlook. Michael, hopefully everything's all working with you. I can't quite see a video at the moment.
Oscar.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear. Coming through loud and clear. So without further ado, Michael, you tell us all about the future of monetization from Facebook's point of view. I will leave you to it, and we'll speak at the end of that.
Excellent. So thanks very much, first of all, Oscar, for the warm introduction and for having me as part of the PGC event. And hi there to everyone in the audience, and thanks so much for joining me today. So building on Oscar's introduction, it's just a real pleasure to be together with you. As Oscar mentioned, my name is Michael, and I'm here to give you a look at Facebook Audience Network's App Monetization Industry Outlook, which offers industry insights into the future of app monetization, along with recommendations on how gaming businesses can prepare now for growth ahead. And I was thinking about this, and I'm guessing that most of you are interested in this topic for similar reasons to why it's so important to me fundamentally. We work in an exciting and an extremely dynamic industry, and the constant developments and changes that are happening all the time, they really require us to stay focused on being deliberate, on iterating on the way that we work in order to ensure optimal experiences on our platforms and in our games, but at the same time, building a strong and a stable business model, which allows for us to continue to reinvest in how we build for the ecosystem. So just nuts and bolts here. In terms of format for this session, I'm going to talk through some pertinent content presented in slide format, hopefully you can all see, for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then we're going to wrap up with a few Q&A. Just a heads up that a few of the slides towards the end of the deck are particularly content rich. So when we get to that point, I'm going to pause and I'm going to give you a chance to read through the key themes on each of the slides before I go into additional perspective. And it's always nice to have a goal. By the end of the presentation, I'm really hoping that each of you will have learned something new that's relevant to how you work and develop games, and for you to be as excited as I am about the future prospect of how together we can continue to drive impact and experiences and business outcomes by leveraging these insights and others across the ecosystem on platforms as developers and for our game players. So it goes without saying that 2021 has brought immense changes for the mobile game businesses. So it's worth taking time to examine how these shifts impact monetization across the in-app economy and tangible actions publishers and developers should now be taking. So today, we're going to talk about the current state of app monetization and some of the exciting possibilities looking all the way towards 2025. Then I'm going to offer some practical recommendations for gaming businesses on how you build sustainable monetization solutions into your game now, but while also preparing for the future. In developing our App Monetization Industry Outlook, we interviewed 25 thought leaders from across the industry, including ad tech executives, industry analysts, game publishers, and other leaders in this space. You get a glimpse of who is in that cohort here. But before looking at what the future holds, let's ground ourselves and talk about the current state of app monetization. Most app businesses have had to adjust to ad tech changes this year. Personalized ads and user-level measurement were significantly restricted with Apple's iOS 14.5. Now, personalized ads on iOS 14.5 are limited to those who at least opt into Apple's App Tracking Transparency Prompt, or affectionately known as ATT, which can impact the relevancy of ads for players as well as eCPMs and measurement for developers. So all of this has affected the way mobile game businesses market, monetize, and measure their apps. And many of us wonder whether personalized ads will fade and how user acquisition models will change. But we know that disruption historically has spurred innovation. And we believe publishers and developers will use these changes to position themselves for growth ahead. And as Becky Ann Hughes of Glue Mobile said, change leads to new opportunity. So one such area of opportunity is the ongoing growth of mobile gaming and in-app ad revenue. Mobile gaming is now the fastest growing segment of the global games market, according to Newzoo, and industry analysts agree on sizable growth by 2025, even if there are short-term fluctuations. In line with that view, global research firm Omdia predicts a rise of, get this, 21.3% for in-app ad revenue in games this year. And that's compared to just 6.4% rise in revenue for non-gaming apps. In 2021, we're seeing that more people are using apps daily with the increasing sophistication of app-based games and entertainment in all regions categorically. App Annie's State of Mobile report showed an average of 4.2 hours daily time spent on mobile apps in 2020, along with a 7% increase in demand for new apps. And eMarketer's time spent with mobile 2021 suggests that 9 minutes of the daily increase in time spent on mobile is gaming specific, and that most of that rise will hold for 2021 and beyond, meaning it's not just a temporary rise from 2020 shelter-in-place or lockdown measures. For game publishers, the accelerated shifts to bidding and hybrid monetization that were predicted in 2020 are fundamentally playing out globally and across platforms, even as we speak. Today, bidding is not just a priority, but an absolute imperative. Beyond 2021, you'll need to be on bidding to monetize efficiently and effectively. Facebook Audience Network now works with most major mediation partners to allow access to all the impression opportunities offered through Facebook. And this is great news for publishers because now, instead of you spending time checking price floors across multiple countries to maintain waterfalls, you can see every placement that applies to every country and every user. That means more time to focus on your monetization strategy. For example, with the time you save, you can spend time testing different rewarded video entry points and frequency, making sure to balance in-game rewards alongside in-app purchases. Which brings me to my next point. Now, the value of a diversified monetization mix is also clear. A balance of in-app purchases and in-app ads is widely accepted. Among publishers on Facebook Audience Network, MelSoft is one of the many who see success when integrating both ads and IAP as a unified strategy. So integrating in-app ads to create incremental revenue streams and then reinvesting that additional revenue back into growing their game. Industry analysts like Candice Mudrick at Newzoo recognize that a diversified monetization model should now be common practice for developers. So we just saw that the current state of app monetization holds both disruption and opportunity for mobile game publishers and developers. Now, let's explore what we see happening in 2022 and beyond. As game developers innovate and adapt, innovation will drive greater value across the player, the publisher, and the advertiser ecosystem. As people play more mobile instant and cloud games, developers will connect more players across multiple platforms, which enables new types of quality advertising experiences for people, which in turn opens greater monetization opportunities for publishers. You can see how much of an ongoing value exchange it is. So looking at ad revenue specifically, we'll continue to see growth in in-app game revenue from ads. In fact, IDC forecasts a compound annual growth rate of 17% for mobile game ad revenue. This means more money going to publishers this year and in the years ahead, with in-app revenue forecast to be more than $53 billion in 2024. That's a pretty big number by any account. Moving forward, in addition to that, we're going to see more quality ads as businesses are incentivized to provide positive ad experiences for players. The demise of those spammy ads is something we can all celebrate. One significant area of innovation for 2022 is the mobile to cloud evolution. Many mobile publishers and developers already build instant games, which, just to clarify, are no download games, but that still allow graphically rich play. At the same time, Facebook is making a very large infrastructure investment to support cloud gaming. And this is going to help drive the industry towards frictionless play across mobile, instant, and cloud platforms. Here on the slide, as Jason Rubin, VP of Facebook Play, suggests, imagine you can see and try all games right from the same cloud platform. Then download only the ones you want to your phone. You'd probably play more and spend more in those few games you were able to test and deliberately add to your mix. In this mobile to cloud shift, there's more value for players because they can have deeply immersive cross-platform game experiences. There's the potential to integrate in-game rewards and in-app purchases across both cloud and mobile, where players access in-app purchases in the same game on both the cloud platform and in-app. And as monetization converges across platforms, publishers, and developers, we'll see greater return. To get to this future, we'll see more games designed with monetization in mind from the very start. Gone are the days of build, then monetize. Successful publishers are changing the ways their teams are organized, bringing user acquisition, monetization, and development into almost a single process. As games are built with monetization in mind, we'll continue to see uses of rewarded video ads that are advantageous to players and profitable to publishers, with generous in-game rewards like battle passes or free lives. Also, by 2022, we'll see better creatives. As game marketers explore and grow in their understanding of player motivations, for example, they can leverage creative to connect with new, diverse audiences. In the metaverse, the opportunities get even more exciting. By 2025, we can expect people to have highly personal engagement with brands and publishers in virtual reality environments that incorporate gaming, entertainment, commerce, and social experiences. Ben Chen of Tapjoy asks us to consider this immersive ad experience. Instead of test driving a Corvette or any other cool sports car, you're putting on an Oculus Quest headset to drive, and then you can download an NFT after as a reward. Imagine that. Great. So now that we've discussed trends and predictions for 2022 and beyond, let's look at recommendations for how you can get there. As a gaming business, how should you prepare for the future? What are the priorities to focus on now for success ahead? Of the interviews for this App Monetization Industry Outlook, we asked 18 thought leaders outside of Facebook to share their recommendations on what all app publishers and developers should focus on before the end of this year, 2021. And their top two recommendations are, number one, shift from waterfall to app bidding, and number two, diversify your revenue streams with a hybrid approach using both in-app ads and in-app purchases. Others suggested optimizing non-personalized ads and refining your rewarded video ad strategy. I want to give you time to really take in these final few slides. So as I mentioned, I'm going to click on each and I'm going to pause for a second before speaking to the content to give you a chance to absorb the key themes. So as you plan for 2022, we suggest focusing on these three areas: efficiency, engagement, and ad strategy. As this is one of the most important slides to help you understand some of the key levers you have in your control and to help you take action, let's go deeper. Under optimize efficiency, first, test your SK ad network implementations. Then stop managing a complex waterfall and move to bidding. Remove as much friction as possible for players as they move along the app install journey, and build partnerships so your players can have the same experiences across platforms. In the second area of recommendations, build engagement with players, we suggest you build trust with players by focusing on quality. Invest in data capabilities to help you understand your player journey across the app economy, include social features to help reach your audience beyond your game, create for a diverse audience, and always prioritize the player experience. And in the third area of recommendations, refine your ad strategy. Bring together monetization, acquisition, and development plans. Build non-personalized ad experiences. Leverage format innovations. Diversify your monetization more. And measure everything you can. A/B test, optimize, and iterate. So to frame these ideas as tangible solutions, here are some of the ways Facebook is helping gaming businesses build, monetize, and grow in a sustainable way that offers value for players, publishers, and advertisers. Let's look first at Facebook's solution to build. Build instant games that are playable on any device. And you want to be building cloud games on Facebook's cloud infrastructure. Next, let's talk about how to grow your game. You want to be using automated app ads to improve user acquisition and drive results for your app install ads. With cloud playables, you can reach more qualified new players with a try before you install experience, which you can easily create from your native game versus rebuilding the ad using HTML5. And finally, monetize your game with in-app ads on Facebook Audience Network, which provides high-value ad formats like rewarded video and global Facebook demand. So to wrap up and share with you some very tangible and concrete next steps, here are some key actions you can take to act on these recommendations. Number one, go to Facebook for Developers for a resource hub on adapting to iOS 14.5. Number two, to adopt bidding, visit the Audience Network website for a comprehensive Get Started with Bidding resource. Number three, to raise your monetization game, visit Audience Network's Supercharge Your Game Hub. And number four, to find resources to build and market your instant cloud games, go to Facebook Gaming site for marketers. Also, if you'd like to hear more insights and foresights and recommendations from the 25 industry leaders we spoke of earlier, you can download a full version of Facebook Audience Network's App Monetization Industry Outlook at fb.me/AMIO. I'll repeat that. That's fb.me/AMIO. Terrific. And with that, thanks very much for your attention. I'll turn it back over to Oscar for any questions that I might be able to respond to.
Apparently I'm muted. So many things we could talk about. I would love to spend the next hour just talking about all of the aspects of the journey of hybrid monetization, all that kind of stuff. However, I want to focus on a few things. So first thing, what benefits developers to build instant games, would you say, in addition to mobile?
That's a great one, Oscar. Thanks so much. Yeah. So we spoke a little bit about this before, but to go deeper, there are fundamentally two areas here. The first is a developer can increase the reach of existing games by building an instant game version, which allow new players to test out a new game with the possibility of then downloading the app version. And the second, and we have to admit that not every game launch is going to be a massive success for a developer, for whatever reason that may be. So developers can build instant game prototypes, test the game, and iterate, or even decide to sunset an instant game before building out a full-fledged version, thus saving key resource and time in development.
Yeah, I could talk about this area for ages. We've really taken to heart, even with living games, which is what we focus on, we've really taken to heart what I think the hyper-casual kind of model of games and the instant games model has really focused on, this innovation, this taking a game as a hypothesis and driving forward an experience that players care about, and that sort of immediacy of access, that kind of lack of layering that players have to then take on, makes things a lot easier to manage and to engage with. Talking of engagement, though, let's I wrote a book on the topic, so I would think this, but the whole idea of games as a service for me is that it's about understanding and really engaging with a community. And so obviously I have lots of views on social engagement, monetization. What for you is the kind of role of social engagement in games? And in particular, how do you think that helps with monetization?
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, Oscar, and I too, like you, it's the community side of the involvement with games, both in the playing myself, right, through competition or collaboration, or even watching a favorite gamer play. And I think that experience in and of itself makes for a far richer gaming experience, and thus a far richer social gaming experience. So when you think about if player time or watch time increases and the quality of the monetization opportunities within the game is strong, then additional revenue through number of ads and or higher eCPMs can really be a key driver of monetization. And that's really what we're seeing right now. It's the, as you mentioned early on, it's very much around the creating the positive user experience, the positive game experience that's going to keep the stickiness of someone staying within the game itself.
Yeah, and for me, one of the things I think has really been interesting in this space in general is that we've learned so much since I remember when Christian Segazzari came out of the Facebook meeting when they first talked about social games. You know, this is like, he was so excited. He ended up creating Playfish and various other things came out of that. Now Super Mega Evil Corp and all that kind of stuff. But I really struck me at the time. He just was talking about the importance of social there. And as somebody who's run these big community experiences, what's really key to me is how we've learned through all of the era, you know, since that time, how we've learned how it's not just about kind of the data parts, it's not just about kind of the experience parts, it's not even just about the communication part, it's about the social bonding. And by building these experiences where everything is close by, everything is connected, we have so much more potential of being successful. The real thing for me is it's the network effect that we're trying to generate here. It's the creation of this network engagement. And I think the streamlining, the shortening the distance between finding the game, playing the game, and sharing your experience, whether that's as a content creator or as a player, with other people, that shortening that experience, that to me is where the innovation really needs to come. However, I'm going to kind of ask you another question. The growth of mobile ad revenue related, you know, is the growth of mobile ad revenue, is that related to the changing nature of player demographics? I'm thinking particularly in light of the nature of the last 18 months, how that has changed. So now we've gone from games being a thing that people think other people do to being the thing that we all accept that we are now gamers. I mean, arguably the demographics is now almost evenly split, not quite, but almost evenly split. So is that a major driver to ad revenue, or do you think there's other characteristics there?
Yeah, that's terrific. And that, you know, listen, two words that you used in your commentary before were the learning and the innovation. And so, you know, I think that's where we are right now. So I think the innovation across the space is part of the driver. I think the learning is also part of the driver, and both of those increasing ad revenue. But I'd say there's a compound effect happening in terms of growth of mobile ad revenue. So you called out one of them. So one is over the course of these last 18 months or so, we've seen a broadening of the demographics of gamers, right? So we've seen including more female gamers, and we've seen gamers across a broader age group. But in parallel, we're also seeing a significant uplift in quality engagement in games through hybrid IAP and IAA models. So it's a non-cannibalization of this hybrid approach is also one of the key drivers. And then the second one, and we, you know, I think you and I probably fall into this category, but it's the quality and the relevance of the ads being shown within games as just being a key lever to driving stronger eCPMs for those of us who are already gamers, right? So the importance of providing this great gamer experience by showing ads that are going to be relevant to the player is even more important. So the TLDR on that is, I think it's a compound effect. It is those of us who are already gamers in the original demographic, but certainly the growth of the quality of ads and the additional demographics that have expanded over these past 18 months when we've been in either lockdown.
Just on that thought, when I was having my second vaccine jab, I was chatting away to the nurse and the assistant that she had in the room. He was a gamer. He knew all about esports. She said, "Oh, I'm not a gamer anyway." And I said, "Show me your phone." And of course, she had Candy Crush on it. She had Words with Friends. She had about half a dozen games on that phone, but she still didn't realize that she was a gamer. And I think this is the thing. I think the other one that's interesting in this one is the fact that if you look at the over 50s, around 20% of over 50s play games now. We are no longer in this minority. We're no longer where I started out as the spotty kid in the attic with the ultraviolet light on their own playing. Actually, I was playing D&D as much as I was playing on computer games.
I was as well.
So we all know what that's like. But the other thing I think is really fascinating, and I think, you know, a lot of the stuff that you're talking about this, again, I'm just going to go back to this instant nature, this flow, this ability to connect the dots between who we are, what we love, and how we share it. And I think games is this amazing principle where it's a verb, not a noun. We do in games. And I think, you know, the very nature of the fact that we do in games really profoundly affects the way we think about monetization. And that, to me, is a trick that I think that we still yet to get across. I'm lucky that I've obviously been around a long time. I was evangelist at Unity ads in the very, very earliest days. I'm now running living games. Seeing how you can rethink, reframe ads as part of a form of exchange. A form of exchange where you can actually focus on the value to a player, create great experiences, and whether you're using that exchange through ads or through money, through long-term engagement, through battle passes, through season passes, whatever it might be, by focusing on the value to the player and the best possible experience for the player, part of that's got to be the social factor as well.
100%.
On that note, I think we're about out of time. I have one more request for you. Apparently, there's a number of people asking if you can share the email that you had at the end of the slide.
Absolutely.
In the chat. That would be really helpful.
Happy to. Oscar, great being here. Thanks again for allowing me, and wishing everyone in the audience a terrific rest of the afternoon with PGC.
Great. Thanks, Michael. That was fantastic. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Great. What a way to kick off the afternoon. So obviously, you know, you can probably guess that I'm completely obsessed with social elements in games. I think we completely underestimate the value of it. And I think you only have to look at the effect that influencers and social, actually, I'm not allowed to call them influencers anymore. I get told off. Content creators. What content creators do is an incredibly important factor in every aspect of what we're doing in games. And that, to me, is a tip of an iceberg of social layering, and really thinking about the player experience in every aspect, from the personal enjoyment and the shared experience. That's really kind of key to understanding the flow of monetization, because without understanding that, we won't understand where the value is, and value is what it's all about.